bring a Christmas tree there, and we'd have special cakes and that sort of thing. And then we would go round to the vicarage. The whole school would go round, and we'd stand outside that front door, you know, facing Holly, and sing carols. Well, to go home, we had a little bag, a few monkey nuts and sweets and an orange in it. But we really looked forward to this Christmas thing. We were, in those days, we were all very poor, and we didn't think anything about it because everybody was the same. We didn't have any luxuries, but we were never short of food, not hungry. A lot of the food was produced at home, home-baked bread, and on the farm we had our own milk and butter, a few hens and a pig. Everybody grew vegetables and a lot of potatoes. And with the potatoes, we'd take them outside and they were stored in what they called a tub in those days. You put them in the ground and a lot of soil over them to keep the frost out. There weren't deep freezes and not a lot of cellars around, but a lot of potatoes were used. But I think people made a lot of their garden in those days. But as for groceries and that kind of thing, I suppose there wasn't a shop in mochdre.
Was there never a shop in Mochdre?
Well, I think Mrs. Morris used to sell a few things at the Common, but and there wasn't a shop in
Rights on the Fox's Pitch.
Pardon?
Rights on the Fox's Pitch.
Rights at the Fox's Pitch, was
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He didn't have a shop, though, did
No,
he, Alan?
just drink and tobacco and
Yes,
yeah.
but there was a pub
It was a pub.
in the Dolly, and one at what is now the church house, and at the Foxes.
So 3 pubs in Mochdre.
Yes. There were
No
3
shop, but 3 pubs.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And there weren't cars around, see, in those days, and people had a pony and trap, and that is what you would go to town in.
So but you wouldn't get on the pony and trap to go to school. You'd have to walk.
No, everybody walked, I see. The vicar used to go round the parish visiting. We had one vicar all to ourselves, no sharing with any other parish.
The vicar now has 5 parishes.
Yes, Compton Davis. And he was in Mochdre for many years, wasn't he, Ned? Yes, Compton Davis. Yeah, that's right. And he used to, they had, in those days, the vicar would go round the parish. If you weren't in church on Sunday, were you ill or something? To see you. There was church at 11 and at about 6 in the evening, and Sunday school in the afternoon.
And you were expected to go to both services, morning and night,
Well,
or
I
just
don't
one
know
or the
about
other?
expected, but a lot did. They went if they could, isn't it? Yes. But the pony and trap was very important. Yes, and there were a lot of little shops in Newtown, no supermarkets or anything like that. Yes, and I think that most that went to school were very happy in there, and they were very sorry to see it close in 1968 when there were 23 pupils in Mochdre.
Me being one of them.
Were you?
But it didn't close just because of me, no.
But everyone left.
But there's a lot, we missed the school a lot, but we were very lucky in mochdre that, well, I don't know really who bought the school, because it would have, it could easily have been sold, and we would have
That's
no
right.
community centre or anything at all. I remember Eddie Owen Howard was very one that wanted to buy the school, and it's in very, as you know, it's in very good state now, and we're very lucky of it. Yeah, there's not a lot of premises there, like the boys used to play by the road. No, facing Kirkholly. The girls had a bit of a playground just
At the other side,
by the road.
the other road,
That's
yeah.
right, yes. But I don't know, we were quite happy in school. We didn't have any, I can remember playing conquer and hide and seek, but we didn't have any toys really. But you didn't grumble about it because you'd never known any other. But they were very happy days in school, yes, and you started at 5 and left at 14. Came later on, like some went to the tech and that kind of thing. But they were nice times, very different from today.
But yourself didn't finish in mochdre school, did you?
No,
No.
no.
What happened with you, Mary?
Well, I went to Newtown for 4 years, yes.
But because you passed your 11 plus.
Well, I got the David Davis scholarship,
Wow.
and he
That
paid
was
for
must
me.
have been a massive. Well, how much would a family have had to have paid to have gone to the grammar school?
I don't honestly know, but I know that I would never have gone. The dad had to pay for me to go on the bus.
Oh, you went on the bus down to the grammar
bus,
school,
that's right, yes, yes. But,
and you won a scholarship to go to the grammar school.
yeah, that's right. It was Lord Davis from London and for country children, and you had to live 3 miles from Newtown to qualify for it. Yes, I think David.
And you have to be
Jordan-
quite clever as well to qualify.
Well, never
for the
mind.
school.
Well, would Myra like to say something?
Yeah.
And I,
So Myra's got a story, haven't you, about
Yeah.
mochdre school, about the boys in mochdre school.
Oh, yeah. I'll come to it.
we've no idea really what you want, but
Well, just really
Yeah.
interesting.
Really
interact
interesting.
us and ask questions as much as you like, and we do our best to answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Myra, can we have your recollections of going to mochdre school?
Ready?
We'll have your recollections of going to mochdre school, how you got there and how with your brother. If you say, like to say that now, yeah?
I would, yeah.
You talk about your recollections
Oh,
of
Mary
mochdre school.
finished,
Yeah, for now, we'll be back to it.
Okay. Right, anyway, I had to walk from Glenelg to mochdre school, and I was nearly 6 when I started. Of course, there was only me and Harold was 4 years older than I was. I'd go across to halfway across Brannan Top, and I couldn't go no more. My legs would go. I couldn't walk. So that was going on for a fair while, and Harold used to say, well, come on, girl. He said, jump on my back. And I used to jump on his back to go to school. Many mornings until I was going that little bit further every day. I suppose me being at home, I had no kind of practice in walking, had I?
No.
And then,
That's brotherly love, isn't it? Wow.
yeah. And I'm not going to say a lot about mochdre school, but I can remember there was 1 or 2 wicked boys there.
Name them, Myra.
And, no, that was after you went to the town school, Mary.
We need to know
You
this.
didn't know nothing about it. Anyway, dinner time come now, that these, well, I tell you who the three boys were.
Yeah.
They were Sid Williams,
Say no more.
there's Ivor Francis the Rebel,
All right,
and
yeah.
there's Ivor Francis the Rock.
Okay, yeah.
And on the dinner time now, they used to pop to the Common. They used to sell a few sweets and cigarettes
Oh, yeah.
at the Common.
Yeah.
Anyway, they used to come back and they used to buy a little packet of Woodbines. It was only 5 in a packet,
Yeah.
and they were only some few pence. Anyway, when they come in school now, Mr. Kent, he could smell us fags on them, so couldn't he? Right? Up the hands came. And then another day they'd go up fishing up the brook. Well, it was fatal when they went up fishing. We were halfway through the lesson when he came back. Well, we'd have to have it again now. And now then, this is what I'm going to tell you next time. It isn't very nice. What I was saying now, he used to be a sore creature, and he done something to aggravate Mr. Kent. And I don't know what in the world happened, or what he said to him, but he thrashed him that much across his back. And he never come to school next day. So next day, his father and him come about 11 o'clock in the middle of service, in the middle of a lesson now. And he stood in front of Mr. Kent's desk and he said, "Pull that shirt off, boy," he said, like that. And he pulled his shirt off and there were reels across his back that he had marked him. And it was, he'd marked it as well. He broke the skin as well. But I can recall, I never seen the cane after that.
Wow.
No, he had his lesson then of caning
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about Mochdre.
What about you on your trip to Mochdre School when you were meeting Prim?
Oh yeah, I used to, Primrose used to be living at Glenavon then, and I used to always wait for her, and she always used to be coming out with this banana in her hand, and I used to be grieved every morning because I never had a banana. And she had the banana, and she'd always eat this as well in school, so that's it. So I haven't seen them all.
And we just take a banana for granted now, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, I think her grandfather was bringing her, he used to be working in one of the town hall or whatever it was, at the garden somewhere.
Oh,
And he used to be bringing his
Didn't
bananas up.
savings a long time, anyway.
Now then I was at home when it started. Yeah, I've got that. Now, see. When I was about 11 or 12, my sister got married and she went from home, and of course they couldn't wait for me to start working. And then I had to do a lot of work before I went to school in the morning. I used to have to help with the milking and feed the hens and all the rest of it and run to school after. But I didn't mind it, I enjoyed it, and then it was some waiting me when I went back home that night. So anyway,
And the roads weren't like they are now. They weren't tarmac and a lot of stones. And I know we'd be running and fall, and our knees usually a sore on them from falling.
so
It's
Anyway.
different.
hay harvest now. There was never no tractors, no nothing about. Those sort of days. Everything was done by hand, and Dad and Harold and me, we cut a field, they cut a field by the horse and machine, isn't it? And then next day we used to go around, 3 of us, turning it. And then the next day, we used to go and ted it out with the bikes. And yeah, and when it was ready, well, they used to get the horse rake it up into little rows, and then we had to cock it up and to get them put on the cart. So anyway, that was hard work.
I bet.
Yeah,
Would you have had days off school, Myra, to have done that if it was?
No, I was
You'd
at
still
home
have to go
then.
to
I was at
school.
home then.
Oh, you finished.
I finished school and yeah, I jumped the gun.
It's right. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
And then Harold and me, he was 4 years older than I was. And when he was out working, I always used to have to take his bait out for him. And he was ploughing this one day, isn't it? So anyway, I was there sitting down. He said, "Go and have a go, girl," he said, you know, like that. And anyway, I didn't know whether to go or not, to be quite honest. I didn't want to be a chicken and not go. Anyway, it started off real well. I went down, it was a long old field. Started off, I went real down to the bottom grand, plowed the furrow. I got the plow out of the ground now, and turned around to go up to the next one. Well, the horses now realised there was only me behind them, so they could do with it like me. So, anyway, I missed to get the plow in the ground, seeing it. And of course, they were going up the top of you know, they weren't pulling anything, only just the plow. So Harold could see I was in trouble, so he come to meet me, so that was finished.
Oh, so that was your experience of ploughing?
Yes. But I done plow, I done one plow.
Well done, Myra.
My dad and Mum, they used to go to town on a Tuesday, and Harold and me now used to have ferrets. And Harold and me used to hurry up with their work. Once they gone to town, hurry up with their work. Used to go rabbiting after. So anyway, there was a roadman always on they had certain lengths then years ago, wasn't it? And there was one, I'm not going to say his name. And there was one that was always on our road, and so he cottoned on as we were on these rabbits. And on a Tuesday now, he used to come and join us. Well, a rabbit was a rabbit, those days, you know, it's a main meal for a lot of them. So, anyway, we were at it several Tuesdays when Dad and Mum was in town. And anyway, he come home one Tuesday, and the ferrets was got stuck. We lost the ferrets. Of course, Harold now had to be digging for to find these ferrets. And of course, we did find them eventually, but that was the finish of our rabbits. Oh no, then whether you know. Oh, the 1947 storm, snow. Oh, that was terrible, that was. I don't know how many do you remember from 1947.
No.
No, you remember it, Mary, don't you?
Oh, yes, I never forget
Yeah.
it.
Well, it was... It was terrible snow. Well, we were stuck at Brunhillig, you know, for a long time, and
How long do you think you were stuck there for, Myra?
for weeks.
Weeks.
And we always used to do our own baking and everything. And of course, we had to buy bread then, and they used to come up to the foxes to bring the bread. And I used to walk from Brunellig down to the Foxes to get half a dozen loaves.
And obviously in deep snow you were walking, it
Oh,
wasn't just...
Yeah, and I remember there was 7 of us going down from Brunellig, down to the Foxes. When we were coming back up, we stayed by one side, and there was the Pension Road as well. And we counted them. There were 7 of us walking, one behind the other, with our bags on our backs, and there was 23 going up past the lorry,
Wow.
or bread.
Wow.
And some went up the Pension Road, and some went up the Church Road.
Yeah.
So there was 23 of those. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it was terrible. And then after that, the ice storm. We had this ice storm. Oh, that was wicked. That was worse than the snow. Everything, trees, branches and everything was caked with ice. And, well, the boughs were just snapping off with the weight of the ice on them. And they do say on the Digham Hill, there's the ponies that froze to the ground up there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, well, it was terrible.
And how long did that last for?
I don't know, I didn't.
Seemed like forever probably to you at the time. It was...
Yeah.
Did it start about January?
It was January,
Last
it
about
was.
the beginning of April, I think.
Wow.
And there was no salting in those days,
No.
see? No Glenmore.
No, not
The snow would be full of roads.
I know, there was just terrible.
So how would you manage all that time without... What did you eat? What did you...
Walking, and well, we used to buy flour, a big bag, you know, say 100 weight or
Right.
a bit more. That you always had something at home, and a lot of most people made their own bread, see. But on the other hand, the co-op in Newtown were very good. Just before the snow, they used to go around with a little van and deliver bread. And they were very trusting. When this awful snow came, they would come to the bottom to the Foxes, and they'd leave bread at the Foxes, and like Myra said, people would go down and collect it. And then as the time went by and the roads were a little bit better, they left the bread in the school. It was Bertie Birch's father used to deliver it, but I thought how trusting they were to leave the bread for people.
And then you would go once this was all finished, you'd go and pay for it then.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
But that's only covering your bread, and you'd have milk at home for your cow. What else did you eat?
Pizzas?
Probably not pizzas, no.
No.
So what, you would have your own meat?
Well,
would
you killed a pig, John.
Ah, right.
Yes.
They are
And
German.
I don't mind me.
That's all right, Karen. I'm having to
People
breathe it.
killed a pig.
Right.
Most people. Eddie Owen Cahowell was the man who killed the pig, and he would have to get a lot of boiling water ready to kill this pig. And I can remember there were no deep freezers then, and you'd have what we used to call spare rib. You know all about it.
I know,
Nicola.
yes, yeah.
And what could you do with all these small pieces? Well, you'd give a bit to one neighbour and a bit to another and all the rest of it. And then when they killed their pig, they'd give you some back. It worked out very well. And with this pig, it was hanging up for, I don't know, a couple of days. And we were to salt it. And that it was a messy old job. And it was in the salt for about, was it, Pat would know, was it about 3 weeks to be salted? And you'd bring it out of the pantry or wherever you kept this pig, and the the hams, of course, were the best part, and you have the sides, and you used to put it, hang it under the ceiling where you lived, and then you'd have vacancy for a long time. And another thing that you did when you killed the pig, you used to make faggots and brawn and that kind of thing. Yes.
So in this
It
big,
is surprising how you.
yeah, so in this big freeze, that's all you would have to eat would be this pork and,
Well, I can't, unless, I suppose if people went to town,
yeah. But it was getting to town seems like quite a,
you would
An
have
adventure.
to go sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
wow.
But, well, the roads were blocked, but I can remember not that long ago, Philip would take like Polly and Brian and those to school. The roads, the main road was
Yeah,
filled up with ice and snow, but a Land Rover would go, whereas a car would be no good.
No.
Yes. Yeah, but you never want to see a storm like the 47.
oh, how long did you say that lasted? First
Well, I'm sure that it came in January, and it lasted until I think the beginning of April.
wow.
And every Tuesday night, we'd seem to have a fresh lot of snow.
Oh, so it wasn't just one great big thing that filled up and then that's it went.
No, it's come in every Tuesday night. Yes, yes.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, it was. The 76 drought was bad, but not as bad as the 47 storm.
So you wouldn't even be able, you'd have time off from church as well then, because you wouldn't be able to get to church.
Oh, no, you wouldn't go. No, I'm talking about church like it was 11 normal times now. 11 in the morning and 6 in the evening and Sunday school in between. I don't know what we used to walk up to the pentry, you know, the anniversary and that sort of harvest festival. If you didn't walk somewhere, you were stuck at home.
How many would have attended Mochdre Church on a normal Sunday, do you think then?
Well, I dare say it'd be about 30 in the morning, and I can remember with the harvest, you would have to get there pretty soon or you wouldn't have a seat.
Oh, right.
You know, I can remember some in the porch.
Wow.
Yes. But we didn't have a harvest supper or anything then.
Right.
But the church was another strange preacher. Oh, they were happy times, really. Yeah.
Like you said before, everybody was in the same boat.
Yes.
Nobody, now it seems more like we're all competing and trying to get better.
Yes, if so-and-so's got something,
We
we've
need to
got to have
yes.
it better.
Yeah,
like, isn't
yeah,
it?
whereas
Yeah.
there wasn't any of that.
No.
I think you said to me before it was only really the vicar and the headmaster who had money.
That's all, yes. Like the Kent children would have, they had a shed, I think the shed is in there now. And they'd have a lot of toys. They had aunties who were good to them and that, but we were all the same, but we made our own fun, really, like, yes. You didn't have flush toilets or anything. And another thing that we were very lucky of was when the mains of water came to Mochdre. It used to be you'd carry a lot of water. You know, there was a well so-and-so. Well, you would go in a bucket. You would start with it nearly full by the time you got home. You lost a lot of it. But you had to clean water. But I do think that one thing that changed our lives most was when electric came. That was a godsend. And I was looking up there now at that lantern, Well, in those days you didn't bring sheep in to Long. They were out in the fields, and you'd bring them near the house and leave it in the orchard. And you'd go to bed like and get up in the night, and a little light like that you'd have. It wasn't much of a light, but and I don't think that they had as many twins and that in those days.
Right.
But I hadn't seen a light like that. But electric changed everything. You know, you had, well, you know,
But how old
washing machines.
How old were you when you had electric?
About 1956. Yes, yes. But I know we were at Vayner living then, and milking, and old Tilly lamps. Anybody remember the Tilly lamps? They were all smoke and horrible things.
Always a brown patch on the ceiling.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But they were better than, well, you had to have them. But by that time, people have got big buildings with deep litter hens and that in it. Yes. But
So you were later, Myra, having electric because you were living in Mochdre. So if Mary had it in Vayner.
no,
Oh,
I
you
tell you,
didn't have
we
it.
were very late having it in Vayner.
Oh, were you?
Because they wouldn't come over the railway bridge.
Ah, right.
You know, from that little lane going across
Yeah.
to Orwell's in those
Yeah.
days. But in the end, they came where the evangelical church is. They came up the fields to Vayner, and we had Medices had their own generator, but we didn't. And in those days, you didn't know a lot of it. You had no. Well, it was about then that the wireless came, and today I think we know too much with the television. We know all the bad things
Yes,
that are
that's
happening
right,
in the
that's
country,
right.
really.
Oh, can you remember what year the
1967.
Oh, was it? Oh, right, 1967. What year did you say you got electric?
57.
Oh, so another
67 we
10
did,
10
yeah.
years later
Might
before we
have
had it in
got the same.
Mochdre.
Oh,
See, I remember it now,
Yes.
electric. I must have been
Yes.
about 7 or 8, I think, something like
yes,
that when.
yes.
And water
But
was
we were late
1970.
having it at Vayner, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't
No.
come over the bridge.
I said to Ryan last night, how do you think you'd manage without electric? And he went, I couldn't play on my Xbox.
No.
Right, okay.
I
so
don't know.
That'd be a big thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to find something else.
Would you like to know a little bit about the war?
Yes, we'd love to know about the
Yeah.
war.
Well, the war broke out in 1945. That's right, isn't it, Enid?
39.
39, and it finished in 1945. But it changed everything, you know. When the beginning, boys or young men of 18, a lot of them were called up. They were some not. If agriculture, you were not called up because a reserved occupation, but a lot were called up, and it was a very bad time. Now, when that came, there was a blackout. You mustn't have curtains on, they had to be black, you know, dark curtains to keep the light in. And say your bike now, the front light, you had a shade over it to throw the light down. That they were very keen, and things were rationed. Petrol was rationed. For people that had got a car, they weren't really supposed to go out in the car. The police would ask, well, where are you going? To be hoped you got a bag or something in the bag as an excuse for taking the car. We had gas masks, so that you take a gas mask to school. a lot of, we had clothing coupons to, buy clothes. And a lot of food was very scarce. Sugar was absolutely, well, it was marvelous.
Gold.
Yes, yes. And I can remember, do you remember Payne's in Market
Yes.
Street?
Yes.
Well, if Payne's had Chelsea's, by a chance, now very rare, word got around and there'd be queues outside Payne's to buy these Chelsea's. Yes, and the same with the fruit. The Cecil Morgan in Broad Street, well, he'd been called up, and his wife lived in Frolic Street, and she did her best to keep the business going, and she'd have a delivery sometimes of these vegetables, and you'd have a queue there again. But town people like Newtown, they'd have a friend and they'd have a way somehow coming up to watch, they'd have a few eggs and that. Yes.
So in one way, you were better off than perhaps certainly somebody living in the city. At least you've got eggs and you've got milk and
the pigs, you'd have bacon. Yes, and I dare say more vegetables and
Yeah.
potatoes
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you wouldn't have the variety that
No.
you've got today, but you would live somehow, wouldn't you? But the war was very bad. Some girls, women were in the women's land army, but and I tell you, a home guard was formed during the war, and the men left at home, like on the farms and that. They had khaki uniforms, and they called them the home guard, and they were supposed to be on the lookout in case there was an invasion. Well, there was a little hut up at Cumber, up on the very top. That would be about the highest point in mochdre, and they would go up there and stay overnight.
Oh, right.
And not on duty. But I remember some bombs were dropped inland in them, but there was never any, I don't think any bombs dropped in mochdre.
They did actually find one in the brook.
Oh,
You know the walkway down from my house down
Yes.
to
Yeah.
by the mill. They found one in the brook there once when they were doing some work with
That
the.
was lately, Janitor, after you.
No.
By the where, what is John? By the
Yeah.
by the where?
Yeah, by the
walk
weir, by the
road. Tell them
walkway
gone off,
weir.
like.
yes, yes. Oh, another thing, there weren't phones in those old days. No, people if they had to send an urgent message, they would send a telegram. It would go to the post office, and the post office had a couple of boys going round on bikes with these telegrams.
Ah,
Yes,
right.
Yes. And there, the mill now where Seymour Leach lived, that was going, now Seymour died in 1963. That's Tony Leach's father. And they depended on the brook, like, for power. Well, they used to make blankets at the mill and a lot of wool. And I remember when we did a lot of knitting, because you could get wool from Mrs. Leach at the bottom.
My grandmother worked there.
Yes, that's it. And another thing that upset the apple cart, like, were the floods. Well, there was a flood at the the mill, wasn't there?
Wasn't it a cloudburst, Mary? Because it
I
was in
think
June,
so.
wasn't it? And
That
somebody
was
said it
1936, and it took a cow and 2 calves from the mill, and they never had them,
No,
did
they were still tied with them when they found them further down. They were still tied to the
to the stilts,
yes,
as they called
yeah.
it.
And didn't they take out the wall of Philip Joseph's house there?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The number 4 on Dulles,
That's
wasn't
right,
it?
yeah.
Well, the corner by the road, it was a big, you can see now the difference in the bricks. But the savages were living on Dulles then. But I think the other houses in Dulles, in Bon Dulles, were affected. And there was a time when the Dulles Bridge, that was taken away.
Or is that when the rail bridge, not the railway bridge where Mrs. Roberts went
Yeah,
in?
no,
When-
the railway
Where they
bridge
wash the
that
cars, yeah.
Mrs. Roberts, yes.
Yeah.
That was by Dulles, wasn't it,
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah.
And she was living at the Scabbeth Hub, they called it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Then. And she and her father was walking, they realised this bridge had gone. And Bernice, it's Ann Evans' mother we're talking about, Ann from Stepside. Mrs. Roberts, she was teaching in Penagron, I think. Well, she ran from Dulles to Newtown and warned them, and they stopped the train. Otherwise, there'd have been a very big railway accident, like.
I think she went to Buckingham Palace for it, didn't she?
I didn't know that they gave her any reward.
No, but I think she went to a
should have.
garden party there,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
she, for
something
it,
of the
as
sort,
recognition,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, but she was a hockey player and athlete, she was
Yeah.
good, yeah. But people are very lucky that she did
Yeah.
it, like, I don't know there, is there anything else? Oh, there used to be a sports at Pennagrag.
Oh, right.
Pennagrag Field, you know, opposite house coming up towards our place, this sports. And they'd have races, 3-leg race, tug of war, and pony racing. I know they used to come from out Philindry and that. It was a really
Oh,
good
right,
sport.
oh, big.
Yeah,
big
there
sports.
wasn't a tent, no, with cakes, not a show, it was just the sports. But we had it in August, and there used to be one in Dover as well, and in Kerry. But in those days, like if you didn't have something, like I'm very pleased you got this Moments now, it's nice for young people. Well, if you didn't have a sports, what did you got? And the Pentry now, they always had a concert Christmas night. And, you know, we'd all have, I suppose, eaten too much dinner time. And it was very nice to walk up to the Pentry and have this concert. And they used to have an Estedford at the Pentry as well. Yes, yes. Oh, I think that is about.
Did they have the whist drives then in Mochdre School? Would they have, or was that later, Mary? Later, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have socials there, and Frida Ailebread, Frida Podrosa, she used to play and at the floor in the big room. Oh, it was terrible. All lumps and bumps and that. But we and Mrs. Williams, number 2, step aside. Dodo's mother, Mrs. Edie at the Rebel, and Mrs. Jones, the chip shop in Newtown. They were very good, and really, they'd come up and we'd have some sort of food, and we enjoyed these socials.
Myra, did you have a story about some eggs?
I was coming to that.
I talk too much.
No,
Myra.
no.
No, where was it? Oh yeah, when I was at home, we always used to have a lot of red water ducks. And anyway, every Friday, I always used to feather on a Friday when they were all ready. And then Mum would have orders, take them down to landing or something like that, isn't it? So anyway, this one Friday, or what day it was, I don't know now. Anyway, if you put all the things in one bag, when you're on the bike, you've got to have something to balance the bike. Anyway, we'd only got this one bag this one day, and I was going down Compitch, and I don't know if anybody ever been down there now, but it's long and rough. And, Mum said, and she put some eggs in the bag with me as well. And she said, now, don't you walk down that, don't you ride down that Compitch. All right, Mum. All right, okay. Anyway, I rode all the way down, near enough all the way down, and I hit a piece of rock on the middle of the road. And the wheel turned across, over the handlebars I went, eggs on the lot, they all smashed. Anyway, there's a brook in the bottom, so the eggs were down the brook. So that was the end of that. So anyway, I never had no eggs to take down to Lansman before.
Expensive then as well, wasn't it?
And then, yes, I had a few mishaps on my bike, So, oh yeah, I was telling you this before I go and finish. When I went to the Harvard, a while after, we went into one of the best spare bedroom, like, isn't it? And I thought, oh, I said to Wayne, I said, well, he wanted to go back into his own bedroom. Well, I said, I'm happy. I said, okay, what can I go? And anyway, this room was open to the slates now. And anyway, the summertime it was fine. Now the winter time, we had a terrible snowstorm, wind on the rest of it. I can hear these blinking slates rattling. Woke up in the morning, there was a pair of drift on the bed. So, right, anyway, couldn't do nothing then in the middle of the winter. So when the snowstorm was on, he put his home guard coat on the top of the bed in case another snow drift would start. Anyway, after the summer after, we had it covered like that. Yeah, so anyway, I've had a few, oh no, yeah.
What about the other?
Yeah, the other
mishap
incident.
on your bike. What about the other mishap you had on your bike?
Yeah. I had a mishap on the trap as well.
Oh right.
And, yeah, I got another one as well. I used to go to town before I must have gone to school with Dad and Mum now, and we had a trap. It wasn't a tub. It was just 2 seats in the front and 2 in the back. And of course, Dad and Mum was in the front, and I was in the back with the shopping. And then we were going past the Guthrie turning. All of a sudden, the shaft sticked up. Something broke on the I don't know what they call it, the girth or whatever it is. Anyway, loose the shaft stuff and me fell out. on the middle of the road. Anyway, Dad happened to scramble out and get to the pony, and we had to walk home after. And then Harold, when he was at home, he used to have a little grey pony, and a little grey mountain pony now, wasn't it? And he was fit for anything. Well, I was with, I wasn't far away. And anyway, I've been down at the Gethley because Grandad was living at the Gethley, and I used to go down there on a Saturday to clean for him. And I don't know where Harold come from on this pony. Anyway, I'm going up past for Letterderry now, up that way. He caught me up. I don't know where he'd been or where he'd been, but he was going home and I was going home. And he said, he put his hand behind my shoulder, caught in a bundle of clothes. He said, "Jump on the bike, girl," he said. And he pushed me all the way up to Brunellig. He was galloping on the pony.
Yes.
No health and safety involved at all.
We weren't afraid of meeting anybody because there was no traffic about this.
Right.
I thought, well, there was a corner coming now. I get that. And I thought, well, how am I going to turn this corner? Anyway, I managed it, and we managed to land it, and then it got out. So that's as quick as we ever.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. And so I'm going to finish off with this now. I was coming down now. Mum must have sent me down to do an errand somewhere. I don't know where I was going, but I was coming down past Hyde Park now. And there was a hen, a chicken I called it, but a hen it was a laying hen. And there was a hop in the ditch. And when I passed, I fled down, I went straight in the spokes of she went straight in the spokes of my bike, took her head clean off. Took her head clean off, and by the time I went in a bit of a wobble for the shop. And when I got myself going, the hen was going in front of me. The hen was going in front of me, and I managed to get on the bike then, and I was following her down, and she hadn't got ahead. I couldn't believe it. And there was a gate where she'd come out from, and she went straight into that gate when she dropped. I've had a few episodes on it. That's it.
Wasn't there an accident or something? A Peter Kurt bus accident?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the eggs.
The bus was coming down past Quadros, and it came to the bottom, and it overturned and went down into the brook. The driver must have had I don't know.
Nobody was hurt or anything.
Nobody was hurt.
Didn't you say some eggs were saved? Didn't you say somebody had some eggs and they were saved?
Oh, they're all eggs. They were all eggs.
There was all eggs in the brook. Like in those days, we put take eggs to town in a basket, and they went in down in Richard. I don't think anybody was hurt, and Myra was talking about rabbiting and that. Well, Charlie, an old Charlie in Newtown now, he used to have a stall in High Street, in Severn Street, outside D.C. Evans's in those days. And he bought eggs and hens and rabbits. Like these rabbits that Myra
Yeah.
made a caught. I know the young boys at home, well, they didn't have much money, like John and those. Well, the rabbit was their pocket money, and Charlie used to buy these things. Yes. He was in a small, and his mother was there with him as well on the,
Wow, you've been
Yes.
going as long as that.
that is how Charlie started.
Wow,
Yes.
look at the empire they've got now.
Well, Newtown are very lucky of him.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
look at the employee.
That's right,
Yes,
Mary, you're right,
yes.
yeah, right. What was life like before the National Health Service? Because this is what I didn't realise. I just assumed the National Health Service, and we moan all the time about it, especially now. But we just take it for granted.
Well, I know in school, we walked down in mochdre school, walked down to Newtown on a Saturday morning to have a tooth out. There used to be education offices in Broad Street, on the same side of the street as Lloyd and Roy, but the education offices were there. And you would have a dentist that would take your tooth out. I suppose it's better than today.
Oh, would you have to pay for that then?
No, I don't think we
But I
did.
remember you saying to me about your dad when
Yes,
before the National Health Service.
But I know I was 11, and Dad had awful pain. We didn't know what on earth was the matter with him, and I don't know how we contacted the doctor unless somebody went on a bike. Anyway, old Dr. Shearer was in Newtown then, Alfred Shearer, and he went up to Trusford in his car and took Dad back to Newtown with him to the infirmary, and he operated in Newtown Hospital. He had appendix. Well, Dad caught cold somehow in Newtown, and he had rheumatic fever, and he was in from January. The 1st of April he went home.
Wow.
Yes, but you were to pay for the doctor and pay for being in the hospital, and I suppose pay for somebody at home to do your work.
Yeah.
You know, the 30s were very hard. I know farmers always grumble, but they were bad for everybody, I think. I don't think I can tell you anything more, but anything you want to ask.
Wait, so how did you meet your husband? Because he lived in Trevegwys, did he?
Yeah,
So
yes.
Myra might be a bit near because you both lived in Mochdre.
Yeah.
So
We went to school together.
Yeah.
right. So
Well, our family were always friendly with Red House. Red House was John's home, and they were living at Hiriath then. And Dr. Owen, was there. He owned Hiriath, and you could turn somebody out of their farm if you wanted to. Well, he had a son who wanted to farm at Hiriath, so John's family had to get out of the farm, and they came to Drying Cayman in Mochdre for 1 year, and our people were always friendly with Red House after. Yeah.
right. So that's how you
Yeah.
met him. And the other thing your children, were they born at home or would you have gone into hospital to have had
in
the children?
hospital.
In hospital.
Yes,
Are you the same, Myra?
Hey.
Did you go into hospital to have the children or did you have them at
Oh,
home?
I went to Newtown.
Oh, but
Yeah.
I was just wondering what would have been the norm then, isn't
like
it?
when we were born, people didn't go to hospital hardly you'd hear of the occasional mother had died childbirth and that, but you had the baby at home, and well, a neighbour or a relative would come and what they said in those days, tend on on the mother that was having the baby. But I went to Dover because Granny had died from it. Yes,
Right.
Yes.
But to say, because of course you've got the National Health Service by the time you had your children, so you went to hospital to have the children.
Yes, yes. I remember old age pension coming, I think it was 10 shillings a week. Was it my, Enid?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yes, I can remember that was a blessing when the pension came,
Yeah.
yes.
And what year do you think that might have been when the pension started? Or was there always a pension?
No, it was Lloyd George, wasn't it, that brought the pension in? Yes, yes.
Before my time,
But
yeah.
it was, I'm sure, 10 shillings a week. But people thought the word of it.
I
Of course,
bet.
it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
shillings would buy a lot then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think has been the biggest changes that you've seen in almost 100 years?
But I've been harped on about electric, that, and
That was the
the
We're still
mains
hearing it now,
water.
Janet, every morning,
And
over and
car.
Philip said you're still
morning.
harping on about it every morning. Philip said you're still harping on about it every morning. But we're
Yes.
not going to listen to him, no. Do you think electric and
The having tractors come in changed life on a farm a lot, yes.
what do you think, Myra? What do you think has been the biggest change? Eh?
It's a job to know, you have to explain
Not
that.
having to work quite as hard, I would have thought. As
Oh, yeah. I've done the share.
I was going to say, like Myra said about they had chickens and ducks and stuff at home, but how many ducks did you actually have? A few,
Yes.
she says.
Yeah,
How many?
well, in the summertime, well, Mum was always hatching ducks out, hatching eggs out, and in the summertime we used to put them in the cows to feed, and I counted them. There was a pond at the Merrick, and there was I stood in by the gate one day and I counted them, and there were 93.
Imagine a few, is it? That's a bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
And then Christmas, you were saying leading up to Christmas, you wouldn't go to bed, you all night.
Oh, we fed it all night when Christmas come.
And we used to keep turkeys as well.
Ah,
Yes, and you'd watch the fox wouldn't out.
Yeah. I was saying, you know, if a child actually puts their own plate away and tidies their own bedroom, we're patting them on the back, do you want a packet of sweets or whatever? When you think what these two have
Yeah.
done.
There wasn't as much stock in those days. You know, people didn't keep so many sheep and cattle and things. But they were servant girls on the farms. Like, if you look at the mochdre bygones, the first one, there were a lot of people living in one house.
Right.
Yes, you hadn't got mud ponds in those days. Everything was hard, washing and
Yeah.
the boiler and scrubbing and
Yeah.
everything.
Roy comes home and he says, what have you done? Oh, I've done 2 loads of washing. I think I've done it all. But I can
Yes,
still
yes,
remember my mum
yes,
going out at
yes,
6 o'clock in the
yes,
morning
yes.
to light the boiler, and it was a whole day washing, wasn't it? Not just...
And people like on farms, they used to help each other, thrashing. One farm would help another and that kind of thing. No doubt that the town people did the same, like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think that's enough.
Well, we're very, 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 very grateful to you. What, just the last thing, what's the secret then of long life? Do we need to start smoking, drinking? What do we need to
There
do?
was no money to smoke. Well, I don't know. Moderation in everything.
Moderation in everything.
What do you think?
What do you think, Myra? What's the answer? I mean, you've got your brother to as an example, 104, whatever.
All I've done is all my life is work hard.
Yeah, so that's obviously the answer.
Yeah.
Both of you have, haven't you? It's, yeah.
From the age of 12, I can say. I
But
worked.
both kind, generous ladies. What a privilege to have you both in Mochdre.
We're very lucky and we appreciate our help.
Well,
We're
yes.
slow, but up to now, thank God, we're able to look after
Well,
ourselves.
we have really, really enjoyed this
Well
afternoon. I know you both have said to me, well, I can't think what I'm going to say, we're not going to be interested, but we have loved it.
It's thought a lot.
Yes.
And I found some more mocktail bygones, I'll bring up to the next one.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. But thank you both very, very much on behalf of Mochdre Moments. Thank you.
Please.
We're just waiting for this big celebration in a few months' time.
Nothing. I don't know where to start.
Well, we'll find a way somehow.
That's going to be the event